Now let's take a very slight step backwards from the creation of tables in the last movie to look at the different types of tables that can be created in an Oracle database. First of all, there's your run-of-the-mill relational table, which is essentially something like the show which is related to the venue, where a venue has many shows, or an act has many shows, a category has many shows, a show has many tickets. The tables are all related to each other. They're flat structures, two-dimensional, where columns or metadata is defined horizontally across the top, and the data within that table is defined vertically from top to bottom, as in iterations or duplications of the row structure. That's a relational table, two-dimensional structure related to each other. Then we have an object table, which is slightly different. In Oracle, you can create an object structure using flat two-dimensional relational tables, simply by the way that you join the tables together. There are ways in Oracle that you can actually create objects within tables, where you can create things such as binary objects that can be stored in tables, and you can even create a table object within a table that transparently or invisibly stores a table object within inside it. There are many other ways that you can work with objects in Oracle, but we don't really want to go too much into the detail of that. Essentially, an Oracle database, a relational database, is also known as an object relational database. It's not a pure object database, but Oracle does allow the inclusion of object features within the structure that it's built with, which is the relational table structure. You can also create temporary tables, which are faster than a regular table for doing things like filling it up and printing a report out. There's a thing known as an indexed organized table, or an index organized table. All that does is it simply arranges all the data in the table in the order of the index. Internally, it gets rather complicated and a little advanced for this course, but typically a relational database contains tables and then indexes that are created off those tables, but the indexes are actually separate physical spaces or separate objects within the database. In an index organized table, you simply reorganize the table based on the way that you want the index to work. An index is essentially a way of ordering the data in a table. A cluster is an older form of an Oracle index organized table structure. It's similar to it. What a cluster does is it takes the most frequently used columns between multiple tables and puts them into one table. They're not necessarily index columns, but they usually are. An external table is an Oracle table that stores data in a text file and creates a table object inside the database that links dynamically to the text file. Typically in an Oracle database, you can't go into the table and physically look at the data from the operating system. With an external table, you can. As an XML type table, which will allow you to store data in an XML format that allows you to process it as XML data. Obviously, this is an XML document. When you process it into a web page, you can make it look something like this using an XML transformation. Partition tables are very important to performance in Oracle, and particularly in data warehouses where you're trying to reduce the amount of I/O, which is one of the most critical factors with performance. A partition takes a table and divides it into physical pieces, where you can then ask Oracle to either process multiple partitions in parallel at the same time on different processors, or you can actually access a small piece of information without accessing the entire table. When it comes down to it, what you would actually do if you had a really large data warehouse with a table that was terabytes in size and you want to run a report, you want it to run quickly, you don't want it to read, say, terabytes of data, you get it to read a single piece, such as this chunk right here, and it would read 25% of all the data. Disk I/O is very slow in relation to reading of RAM buffers and processing speed, so it's one of the most critical factors with performance. Those are the types of tables that are generally available in Oracle.